This is an amazing article having to do with a new something that fights cancer, tumors. Live Science, Rachel Retner. Today's article, How a New Cancer Vaccine Fights Tumors Throughout the Body. A new cancer vaccine that's injected directly into a single tumor can trigger the immune system to attack cancer cells throughout the body, a small new study suggests. I wonder if that would work if they also inject the tumor with baking soda. They say baking soda also does away with tumors. Now, let's say this go back to this. The researchers say that the experimental therapy essentially turns tumors into cancer vaccine factories, where the immune cells learn to recognize the cancer before seeking it out and destroy it in other parts of the body. Quote, we're seeing tumors all throughout the body melting away, end quote, after injecting just one tumor, said lead study author Dr. Joshua Brody, director of the Lymphoma Immunotherapy Program in the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York. Amazing stuff. Amazing. Still, the research published today, April 8th, 2019, in the journal Nature Medicine is very preliminary. The therapy has only been tested in 11 patients with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a cancer of the immune system cells, and not all of these patients responded to the treatment, but some patients did have remission for relatively long periods, and the results were promising enough that the therapy is now also being tested in patients with breast and head and neck cancers, the author said. Amazing. What's more, the vaccine appears to substantially boost the effectiveness of another type of immunotherapy called checkpoint blockade, the same therapy that former President Jimmy Carter received to treat his metastatic melanoma in 2015. Immunotherapy refers to treatments that harness the immune system to fight the cancer. The two therapies are remarkably synergistic, Brody told Live Science. So far, the researchers have only tested the combined therapies in mice, but they are optimistic that the combined therapies could benefit cancer patients, particularly those that are not getting much benefit from current immunotherapy treatments. Cancer vaccine, quote unquote. To be clear, the new treatment is not technically a vaccine, the term used for substances that provide long-term immunity against a disease. Still, the term cancer vaccine, quote unquote, can be used to refer to the therapies that train the immune system to fight the cancer, according to the American Cancer Society. Instead, the new treatment is a type of immunotherapy. It involves giving patients a series of injections with two types of immune stimulants. The therapy has 3 steps. First, patients are given an injection that contains a small molecule that recruits the immune cells, called dendritic cells, into the tumor. Dendritic cells act like generals in the army, telling the immune system soldiers, known as T cells, what to do, Brody said. Next, the patients are given a low dose of radiotherapy, which kills a few tumor cells so that they spill out antigens or proteins that the immune system can learn to recognize, Brody said. Dendritic cells then take up these antigens and show them to the T cells. Then patients are given a second injection that contains a molecule that activates the dendritic cells. The dendritic cells are learning the lesson and telling it to the T cells, which then can search the body for other cancer cells, Brody said. Amazing stuff. Synergistic therapies. In the new study, many of the 11 lymphoma patients saw a regression of their tumors that lasted for months to years. But several patients did not benefit from the therapy. The research was also interesting to see how their therapy worked with checkpoint blockade drugs, which essentially take the brakes off T cells so they better attack cancer cells. While this therapy can work well, some other types of cancer, indeed, President Carter had complete remission after his checkpoint blockade treatment, It does not work well for others, including non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. When the researchers gave checkpoint blockade drugs to mice with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, the treatment, not surprisingly, had no effect. But when they gave it in combination with their vaccine, about 75% of the mice went into long-term remission. The type of therapy tested in the new study is known as in situ vaccination because it involves injections directly into the tumor cells. It is not the first experimental in situ vaccine for cancer. In 2018, researchers reported promising results of another in situ vaccine in mice, but the new treatment is different because it focuses on dendritic cells rather than the T cells. The authors think, quote, this could be effective for many cancer types that are so far not benefiting much from cancer immunotherapy, Brody said. Dr. Mark Mulligan, director of the new NYU Langone Vaccine Center, who was not involved in the study, said the new finding appears promising. Figuring out how to harness checkpoint blockade drugs for more cancer types, quote, is an important area of ongoing research, end quote, Mulligan told Life Science. And the data presented in mice and early data from the human trial appear promising in terms of enhancing the effect of checkpoint blockade treatments, he said. Still, Mulligan cautioned that the new study is the earliest phase of human testing and that larger, more rigorous studies will now be needed to confirm the method's safety and effectiveness. Dr. Pallavi Torka, an assistant professor of oncology in Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center in Buffalo, New York, who specializes in lymphoma, agreed the results are preliminary yet promising. New immunotherapy approaches for treating non-Hodgkin's lymphomas are sorely needed, said Torka, who was not involved in the new research. The effectiveness of the study approach is very welcome news, especially given the dramatic improvement seen in the mouse study when the treatment was combined with checkpoint blockade, she told Live Science. But Torka noted that the treatment approach used in the study is quite cumbersome. Patients received 9 daily injections of the first immune stimulant, followed by 2 doses of radiotherapy, and then 8 injections of the second immune stimulant. Okay, that's okay. I mean, the thing is, it does away with their cancer. So of course they're going to get pricked a little bit every day. Of course, that's the least that can happen. Now going on with this, the next set of experiments will need to focus on simplifying, combining, and reducing the number of steps needed so that the approach could be tested at a number of medical sites rather than a few specialized cancer centers, Torka said. This story was updated at 4:15 p.m. ET to include comments from Dr. Pallavi Torka. This is fantastic, and I hope that they get it 100% to be able to cure 100% of the people that are treated with this. Unbelievable. This cancer, quote-unquote, cancer vaccine. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.